Hi friends. So today we are going to learn how we can build a REST API that can perform CRUD operations using MongoDB and Python. And in Python, we're going to use Flask. So basically, Flask is a lightweight web framework built on the top of Python. So before starting this video, I expect that you already have installed Python and MongoDB in your system. If not, please just pause the video here. Go and install Python and MongoDB on your system first. So now let's start. Open your terminal or Windows PowerShell, and firstly we need to create a directory by writing mkdir, and I'm going to name my project directory as Flask Mongo API. I'm going to hit enter button, and now I'm going to change my directory to it, Flask Mongo API, and now I'm inside my directory. And to starting with, firstly, we need to create a virtual environment for our project where we can install dependencies that will help us to build a REST API in Flask. So for that, let us just create our virtual environment by running command python -m vnv, and I am also going to name my virtual environment as vnv. I'm going to hit enter button, and by doing that, I'm able to build an virtual environment for my project. And now we need to activate it by running an query, which is source vnv bin activate. I'm going to hit enter button. Now we can see I am successfully able to activate my virtual environment here. And now I am going to install all the packages and libraries which will help me uh, in building this REST API. So first of all, I'm going to install Flask, which is a web framework which will help us creating route and handling operators in MongoDB. I'm going to hit enter button, and by doing this, I'm able to install Flask on my system. Also going to install PyMongo, which is a MongoDB driver for Python. Pip install PyMongo, and also going to install python.env module for that, which it will help us to load environment variables from our .env file. So I'm going to install it also, python.env, and be able to successfully install it also. Now we will going to structure our project. So how I am going to structure my project here. So basically what I'm going to do, I will create two folders, one with name models and second one is with name routes, and I'm going to have files inside them. Like inside model, I am going to have student.py, which is my student module, and inside routes, I'm going to have student routes, which will uh, define all the routes of my REST API, and also going to create an entry point file in our uh, Flask Mongo API directory with name of app.py, which will act as entry point to our program. So let's start doing it. So mkdir models. So it will create a directory with name models, and another directory I'm going to create routes. And now I'm going to create an app.py file inside my main directory. touch app.py. And now I am also going to create my student module. Inside models, it will be student.py, and also in routes, I am going to create student route, and routes.py. I'm also going to create an .env file to contain our environment variables. So I think that's all for now. We will see later if we need to create any other file. So that's all for now. Now I'm going to open my project in VS Code by typing code dot and by hitting the enter button. I am able to open my project in VS Code. So here we can see that we have everything which I am talking about. Inside models, I have student.py. Inside routes, we have student_routes.py, and we have app.py and also .env file, and we also have our virtual environment which we activated. So in our env file for this, we're going to have Mongo URI, which is equal to MongoDB, and I will like connect it to our default database which we have in our system of which have already installed MongoDB. It will be localhost and the port number will be 27017 slash. And what we are going to write here now after this slash, it will become the name of our database. So I will continue with the example which we are using till now, which is Training Institute database. So I'm going to give it a name, a Training Institute, and we're going to save this .env file, and that's all we need to do in this file for now. And now let's start coding our student.py, or we can say student module. So for that, we need to import our Mongo client because we are building a module which will interact with MongoDB. So from PyMongo, I am going to import MongoDB client, Mongo client. Okay, and then from .env, I am going to import load.env. After that, we also going to need OS. So let me first explain what these things will do. So this line in which we are importing Mongo client. So MongoDB client will help us to connect with MongoDB. So basically this Mongo client. And then this .env will help us to load environment variables, and this OS module will let us access environment variables from .env file, which we have here. So after that, let us just load our .env environment variables things here in our student module. And after that, we're going to build a client for our project first, client which will be a Mongo client, and then inside it we will get os.get env, and inside it we will get from env is Mongo URI, which we already defined, and that's all. After that, we're going to create db, which is equal to client dot get default database. So this line will let us connect with our default database in our system. And after that, we going to create a collection, which is student collection in database with name of student. It will create a collection for us with name of student, And that's all we need to do in student.py. And this Mongo URI, if you want to see what it is, we can go here, .env file. This is like a connection string to our local host in MongoDB. And here we are, student.py. I have explained everything, which line will do, and why we have written it. After that, we can jump on to our student routes.py and let's start defining our routes for this REST API. So before doing that, we need to import some uh, packages that will help us to initialize or develop our routes. So first of all, from Flask, we need to import Blueprint. So what Blueprint will do, Blueprint will let us organize route into modular components. So it will make the routing with MongoDB easier for us. Then next one is request. We need to import request here. And what request will do, request uh, is used to access data coming uh, like you to use to access incoming data which we sent by post requests. That data is handled by request, and then we're going to import JSONify. It will turn our Python dictionaries into JSON response for our APIs. That what it will do. And then we also going to import from modules dot student. I am talking about this, and then this file student.py, and we're going to import student collection here, student collection, which we defined here. This is student collection, and we are importing the student collection in our student routes by using this command or this line, I can say. And then I'm going to from basin dot object ID import object ID. So what this line will do, it will like this thing that basin object ID is used to convert our string in REST API to object ID in MongoDB. So this package will be used to convert our string in REST API to give an ID to unique ID to every record or document in MongoDB. So after that, we let's start by giving a blueprint to our student route. So what a blueprint is, blueprint, uh, I already told you that it will help us to organize routes into modular component. So let's create our first blueprint. So it will be student. We are creating a blueprint for a student, which is blueprint, and we will create a blueprint for student here, and then underscore name. So yes, we have by this line will uh, group all the student related routes together, and it will help uh, to make our clean code clean and easier to manage. So what a blueprint is like a mini application within our Flask application and help us to manage our code easily. So first of all, I'm going to write a route for creating or adding a student in our database. So that will go like this. I am going to use the student blueprint, and going to add a route on it, and slash then and method, because we are adding a student here, so method will be post. I hope you understand it, because we always use a post method whenever we are adding an element to our database or in our collection. So, and we are going to define a function here, which is add student. And then here, so let's grab the data first, which we're going to pass from our uh, client, I can say. Like if we are testing our REST API using Postman, so then Postman will be client here. Then let's grab the data first from our client. It will be data.request.getJSON. It's grab JSON data and send it to request body. Then we're going to add if not all. So if, what I'm going to do here, I am going to check if our the data which we grab here contains all the things which we are required in our database to add. Like if consider if we have four fields like name, age, course, email for every document or every student, I can say here. So we just need to check if the data entered by the user have all these four things, then only we going to add. And if not, but we going to return an error. So that's what I am checking. If not all, k in data for k in, first one is name here, second one we have is age, third one we have is course, and then at last we have email. So if we don't have all these four, then what we are going to do, we are going to return an error. So, and error will be in the JSON form. And like this, error, we will pass missing fields and going to return the status code as 400. And if everything is good, then what we will do, we will send the result. Let me result is equal to student collection dot insert one. Then we're going to insert the data which we have here and going to return it JSON form in JSON form and ID here, and we will get an ID in return for the data which we have inserted. Result dot inserted ID and going to send status code as 201, which is the success status code. So let us write another route for getting all the students here. So in the same manner, we have written this route going to follow the same thing as it is. So it will be very similar. If you can, if you want, you can just follow the approach which we've learned in our above route, but it will be get, because we are fetching data now and not adding it. So the name of the function will be get students. Get students and going to write this function So what we going to check here, if our student collection have any student, or if it have any student, just return all the students to us. So this is what we going to write logic first for. So student is equal to, it will be a list of students, and then we're going to search in student collection and find if we able to find anything. And if we able to find anything, we will loop through it for student in students, student, and ID is equal to string student, then ID here. If this is satisfied, like what I am doing here, I am looping through the student and then returning the student in the JSON form, returning every student which is present in our uh, collection. So it will be students, and then the code will be 200 status code. And in the same manner, we're going to define the student with ID. If we want, we can also copy this route, because it the another route will be just like this, because we just going to like match it with ID. So for now, I am writing it myself, not copy pasting it, so that you can understand in a better way. You will get another chance to understand if you have not got it in the first time. So it will be student blueprint dot route and slash ID. We're going to match ID, and method will remain same, because here also we are retrieving data. So it will remain get, and going to define a function get students, get student, or it will be student or students, which one will be good. So for now, I am defining it as get students and going to pass an ID to it, or get student is fine, right? Students. Okay. We will see if we got any issue, then I will change this name. So student is equal to stu student is equal to student collection dot find one, and find one with ID. So it will be underscore ID, and ID is an object ID here. So student if student present, then student and ID of student is here. Student ID, if we able to match it, str string student and ID of student here also. Actually, why I'm using this bracket, we need to use square bracket here. And then if we able to do it, I need to return JSONify and student with status code 200. And if not able to find student, then we will return an error. Yeah, student not found will be on good error. And with the status code 404. You can save this file. Now, first check if these three routes are working, and we will define other routes after that. To do that, let's define our app.py first. So we can run this application and check if the three routes which we have developed till now are working or not. So for defining our application, we also need to import some things like from Flask, import Flask, because uh, this is the Flask application after all, and this will be Flask also. Okay. After that, we need also need to import student routes. From that, we need to import student blueprint. So from routes dot student routes import student blueprint, and also from dot env import load dot env, and then we can load our dot env here also, so we can access environment variables, and let's initialize our Flask application here. Flask and underscore name. This is the way to initialize Flask application, and we also need to register our application or register our blueprint, I can say. And then the blueprint will be student blueprint, and I am also going to give URL prefix. So this will be automatically added when we are passing a response or interacting with our API. STUD students, yeah, dot students. Mm, we need to wrap it up. And now let's define the entry point of our application here. Is equal to, and this will be our main function. Inside it, we're going to run our application. True, and I am going to give port number 8000 to my application. And let me check the code once again. So we have successfully imported the Flask, imported the student routes.env file, also loaded it, defined our Flask application, registered the student blueprint, also provided the URL prefix. So what it will do, URL prefix, it will be added after each route. So it will be API slash students slash method will be post, then it's going to work like that. And what we have also provided, main function defined properly. So yes, we can save this file, and now we will try to run it. So to run it, we need to go here and open a new terminal here. So see, we have opened a terminal in our virtual environment here and need to run a query or like Python app.py. So we will run this file, and by hitting the enter button, see if we able to run. Yeah, serving Flask app here, and it's running on this. So let me press Control and click it here. So it's showing that not found. It is because we have not added a prefix here. And yes, we can see that we have an empty array here because we have not added anything to our database or in our collection. So going back to VS Code, we can see what will happen if we try to interact with our database using our this REST API. Go to env file and see if we're trying to add a student here, because we're going to add a student first because we don't have anything in our array. So the name of the database will be Training Institute when we add our first student. So let's try it with Postman. For that, we have this, and if we uh, pass a GET request and send it, so status we are getting 200, which is okay, successful, but array is empty because we have not added anything yet. So I will convert it to post request, and where if I post data onto our using our REST API here, so this function will be triggered and it will expect name, age, course, and email and check if the data is valid. If not valid, it will return us error, and if valid, it's going to insert the data in our database. So, okay. So I will go here and I have already added a dummy data. So I will just do computer science here and just try to send it. So by hitting the send button, yes, I am successfully able to add this data to our uh, database using our REST API. And if we go back to get and send this, yes, so now it's returning us one object here. And let us check if we able to create this database in our MongoDB. What is the name of the database? What is the name of the collection in it? So let's go to MongoDB Compass, and yes, so I have opened my MongoDB Compass here, and now I will connect with my databases in localhost. So we have admin, bookstore, config local, and here is our training institute database, and we have a student collection inside it. It should be named as students ideally, but let it be for now. And in our student collection, we have one student with name John, age, and we can see that we have already assigned it object ID, which is good, working good. And let's try to add another student. Okay, so I will go here and change the name of the student to my name, Pratik, and my age 24, and course is mine also is computer science, but I'm changing it to biotechnology to create a different insertion. Biotechnology, and my mail will be Kaushik Pradeep at gmail.com. And now I will convert it to post request and try to send the data. Also going to add another student, which is Rahul. Age will be 27. Field will be civil, and also going to update email ID, which is Rahul at the rate gmail.com, and also going to send this data. And yes, now I will convert it to get and see if we got everything. Yes, so we able to add two more students here with name of Pratik and Rahul. And let me go to our MongoDB Compass. Now I'm going to refresh it and see we have three students now. So let us try if we can find a student using its ID. So let me copy this ID. Or I'm not able to copy, so I will use MongoDB shell to get its ID. Just delete it. Use institute, and db dot student dot find center, and let's just copy the ID of this. first student, and now just need to paste it here and remove everything extra, and then going to send this request and see we are able to get a student by its ID. Now let's go ahead and write our update route here. So it will be written in the similar manner, which is student blueprint.route, and we're also going to use ID to update it. The methods will be patch here, and the function name we will use update student, and it's also going to accept ID. Then we're going to grab the data, or I can say the ID of the student to update it. Get JSON, and then result will be student collection dot update one, and then we're going to compare the ID with it. Object ID here. Now going to set a new value for it, just like we did in past in MongoDB tutorials. Going to use dollar sign here, and then going to set the data. If result dot next count return, we're going to return a message of student updated. With the status code 200, and else we're going to return JSON error message. Error student not found. Not found. Within status code of 404, and we're just going to save it and see if we able to update any student by its ID. So let's suppose this is the student which we able to grab by using this ID, and we're going to update it to John, from John to Sonu, and its age will be 22, and it will become civil, and then it will come sonu@gmail.com, and going to pass an patch request here and send it. Okay, so we got confirmation message that the student is updated. So let's see if we able to see these changes here. So send this request. Yes, so we able to update the student, and now let's see all the students in our database. Yes, we have Sonu, Pratik, and Rahul. So see, we have successfully updated a student, and see in database if we got the same update. So it's still John. So let me just update it, refresh it. So it got it updated to Sonu. So okay, so till here we are able to write in route for add student, get all the students, get student by ID, and update student using ID. So I would expect you to write a route of delete by yourself, and if you are not able to, I will also provide the GitHub link for my code where I will also add this delete route. And yeah, so that's all from my end. I think you must be clear by watching this video that how you can build an REST API in Python and Flask, and which will deal with the MongoDB database. Thank you so much.